Going back to Hollywood, Florida, the out-of-control crisis at our southern border is leading people to take some very drastic measures. Families who live near the border in Yuma, Arizona, forced to hire armed private security guards because of a migrant surge that has them fearing for their safety. In some cases, illegal immigrants have been walking right into their property and even into their homes. And the flood of migrants is set to get worse. A judge just ended Trump-era Title 42 that allowed the U.S. to immediately deport migrants. A border Democrat says his party needs to wise up fast on the issue.
Is the border open? Definitely, absolutely, it is open. Policies have to change. Policies have to change. You can change individuals, but if you don't change the policies, then you're not going to make a difference at the border. We don't want to see chaos, or we certainly don't want to see, where there's no law and order. So I've always been very strong on border security.
And while that goes on, Texas Governor Greg Abbott just sent another bus carrying migrants, this time to Democrat-led Philadelphia. The city's liberal district attorney telling Abbott his move could be a crime and blasted it as irresponsible, blatant disregard for human lives, which is why I want to go to you first, Judge, because if this were an actual crime and it was illegal, then wouldn't it have been stopped before because these migrant buses have been coming?
Look, if the local DA Krasner, who's a progressive and a Soros guy, if he thinks that Abbott sending these illegals to Philadelphia is a state crime over which only the DA has jurisdiction, then Joe Biden letting them in is a federal crime from their country to the United States. Hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Now, there's a second thing here. The district judge who decided in Washington that he would cancel Title 42, which allows us to send them right back right away. I don't know why we say that, because 3 million of them are marching in. I don't know who we're sending back. Harold will tell you. But in the end, the truth is, my friend Harold. But the truth is that they're coming in and people having to hire security for themselves. This is a very dangerous situation. And we've got people who are not able to protect themselves. There are gangs. And in any segment of 3 million people coming into the United States, I would want to know who's a criminal, who's a pedophile, who's a drunk, who beats his wife, who's an identity thief, who's a rapist, and on and on. Look, let's not kid ourselves. This is an invasion, and it's made by now Emmett Sullivan, who was the judge in D.C. Emmett Sullivan is the guy who refused to allow Bill Barr to drop the charges against the Michael Flynn. Okay, he's very much a leftist judge.
So
Dana?
Yes.
Dana, I think you guys are missing the point. When the guy said it was against the law or a criminal to bust these illegal immigrants, he was talking about busing them to Philly. Yeah. Which
Have you seen what's happening?
Yeah, it's cruel and inhuman punishment to send anyone to Philadelphia. I wouldn't do. I mean, as much as you can't stand illegal immigration, no one deserves that. Like, I wouldn't even send Harold to Philly.
I went to college in Philly.
Maybe I would send Geraldo. I would send Geraldo to Philly and never Harold.
I'm saying Harvard because I went to Penn, not because you want to say
He's an Ivy Leaguer.
Really? What school?
Penn.
Penn is not an Ivy League school.
Really?
Are you out of your mind?
Are you out of your mind?
Next you're going to say Cornell is, too, right?
Oh, no.
Where did you go again, Greg?
Yeah, Greg.
Berkeley. But you know what? But these buses, the great thing, it shook the box of immigration.
Yes.
Immigration's been doing the same thing year after year. The Dems, the Republicans. But the busing things, if you like cheap labor, then you're sharing the wealth. You're sending people in a bus. You should be going, please come here, I'm a sanctuary state. If you don't like it, you're going, this is great because we are sharing the burden. So they have to continue doing this. They have to triple it exponentially. Just do it, because then you're going to get every state becomes a border state. And that's when action takes place.
I mean, don't you here in Florida feel like you're a border state? Yeah. I mean, there's an illegal immigration problem here as well. Harold, would you like to answer the judge's question as to who exactly we are sending back?
I don't know. I mean, as you know, I've been a proponent. Well, first of all, I think in fairness, I mean, the four of you know, maybe not, I've been a proponent. I mean, I've been criticized by my own party because I think we should build a wall. I think we should reform our asylum process. But at the same time, we have to make this uncomfortable for everyone. There are Republicans who don't believe we ought to invest in a smart way in parts of this hemisphere. Think about it. We spend trillions of dollars and have as a nation to stabilize and try to bring peace to regions of the world that need it. Yet in our own backyard, we spend pennies.
Right.
And we wonder why we have some of these challenges. I'm not saying our dollars can solve all the problems, but we need to be more thoughtful and coordinated in how we do it. And we have to reform this asylum process. Greg talks about this eloquently and has for a while about we need workers in this country. And we need not only American workers, we're going to need workers from outside this country. And there has to be a process to help do that. And right now,
somebody needs to chop Jesse's banana.
That doesn't sound very nice.
And if you didn't see the A block, it has context, okay?
I got my banana.
I have finished my comments. I'm done now.
I'm gonna cross my legs.
Are you all right? After
that hurt.
Jesse,
Banana chopping.
Do you think the people of Yuma, Arizona, who are now hiring private security to protect their homes from illegal immigrants, should get damages from the federal government or get reimbursed?
They should, but they won't. And that's more of a question for the lawyer. But, Harold, if you're going to send money to the migrants down south in the Western Hemisphere, they just steal it. You never get a return on that investment. And the American people just want to be treated equally. They want to be treated with respect. If you can break into the Capitol on January 6th, they'll throw you into solitary confinement. But if you break into someone's house on the border, Biden will throw you a party. He'll give you free bus tickets. He'll give you cash.
Phone.
He'll give you a free phone. He'll do your laundry.
Yep.
No one does my laundry.
Yep.
I have to go put the little fabric softener in there. I got to fold. I hate doing my own.
It's $24.
It costs a lot of money. And, you know, you go hit Paul Pelosi in the head with a hammer. That guy's an illegal alien. He's not getting bailed out. He's not getting bailed out, but if anybody else gets hurt by an illegal, they're gone. They skip the hearing. Or, like, you can trespass into somewhere on the border, but if you trespass into Martha's Vineyard, no, they're going to kick you right out. It's not fair. There's pregnant mothers in these border towns. They drive to the hospital, deliver the baby, and the maternity ward is full with illegal aliens delivering babies, and then they have to put them back in the car. They got to drive to a different hospital. What if she starts delivering the baby and you're driving through the desert to the hospital? Do you think I could deliver a baby in the desert?
No.
No! I didn't go to Lamaze class, and those things are slippery. I'll drop it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.